Primal Chaos. Hey guys, your worst nightmare, Primal Chaos here. Listen, the other day I put out my very first reaction to Blackpink, and to say that everyone turned out in numbers was a gross understatement. But what was amazing was what I noticed in the comment section was such diversity of the fandom of Blackpink. And my mission statement on this channel is to try and encourage people to think outside of the genre and think about, discover new music that may not necessarily be designed for what they perceive to be their palette, right? I started this channel diving straight into really extreme heavy metal, and I learned a lot, and I discovered there's a lot of stuff there. There's a lot of value in that genre. And then slowly we skewed into a whole bunch of different realms with Japanese metal and instrumental music and, various other acts, classical vocalists and things like that. What I've learned along the way is that I don't really have a specific musical taste. I like everything that's good. And so experimenting with K-pop, which is typically not something I'd grab to put on, it's outside my comfort zone typically, although I do love pop production, and I've discovered that this is where the pop production is in 2022. This is where you see the heightened expertise of brilliant production, artistry, as far as like songwriting and stuff like that goes. And this is where where I'm seeing a lot of the innovation, while still paying a lot of homage to traditional sort of 80s and 90s R&B and hip hop, which is really interesting to my ears as kind of an older listener. So anyway, it would be remiss of me to not reward all of that by not jumping in again and doing more Blackpink. I just want to say up front, this video is brought to you in part by Enchroma Glasses. Enchroma make lenses for colorblind people like myself. And if you go to their website, there's a bunch of frames and stuff you can buy. You can do an eye test for free. Check out if it's something for you or someone or a loved one. So yeah, links in the description. Check those guys out. And we'll jump straight in. Blackpink shutdown music video. Interesting rhythm. Sorry, I got to stop it right there already. That's super interesting. I was not expecting that. Okay, so I know that this sort of is more, this song probably has more of like an R&B influence, but so far it's been largely sort of rap style vocals, right? What's interesting is that it's a waltz, right? When the thing first came in with the violin sort of motif, which is again very cool, has sort of like an authentic sort of ethnicity to it. It sounds like a little gypsy or something like that, right? But then they're playing over a waltz, which is like a 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, which is something you traditionally would dance to in various forms of ballroom dancing, right? That's where that sway sort of swagger comes in. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. As opposed to in traditional hip hop, it was always a 4/4 drum groove, right? So like a, which is like the count is like 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, with the accents typically on the 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, or 1, 2, 3, 4, something like that. And that's pretty easy. Like if you go back to very early rap, you would just talk in time with that count. 3, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, and you would get rap. And then obviously when that got a little bit more boring, then they'd start to mess around with like the syncopation over that groove, and you'd have like, shuffles and things like that over the top. But then you've got like something like this where they've opted to use like a waltz style beat under it. And then you've got a rap over that, which isn't immediately comfortable. You have to find the flavor in that to make it sort of sit properly. And that's super impressive. It's really interesting. I have heard rappers do like 5/4 and things like that. And it's just like it is playing with traditional sort of rock music or jazz or whatever. It's tricky to find your feet, but if you can nail it, it's so rewarding. You can get really interesting rhythms. But anyway, let's just jump back. I just wanted to point that out because a lot of people may not understand what they're hearing there. it's just a really interesting choice. I'm wondering if they drop into like a 4/4 during the chorus or any subsequent verses. But so far, the two intro verses have been in that same waltz feel. Very interesting.
When we pull up, you know it's a shutdown. 간판 내리고 문 잠가 shutdown. Whip it, whip it, whip it, whip it. Whip it, whip it, whip it, whip it. It's black and it's pink once the sundown. When we pull up, you know it's a shutdown. 간판 내리고 문 잠가 shutdown. Whip it, whip it, whip it, whip it. Whip it, whip it, whip it, whip it. Keep watching me shut it down. Nah.
I'm trying to think where that vocal style reminds me of. Rihanna, maybe a little bit, like the shut down. It's kind of like it's kind of got a swoop to it. It's not like shut down. It's not clean. It's got like a in it, where when you double it, it sounds kind of edgy and just really interesting, and it sort of really leans into that swagger of the 3/4 beat. Very cool. Down, you know. Oh, actually, sorry, I hate jumping back over the same part. Listen to the violin part in this. This is really cool. Tough little arpeggios, or if they're just doing glisses where it's you know, very cool.
Shut it down. Nah, you don't wanna be on my best side. That's right, I'm sliding through. Bunch of wannabes that wanna be me. Me three if I was you. Been around the world, pose on your girl, baby. It's this we invested. Need a lesson, see the neck, see the stresses. We don't buy, we recurse it. A rock star, a pop star, but rowdy. I say bye to the paparazzi. Get my good side, I'll smile for ya. No, it ain't fair to ya. It's staring you like what now? Black pink in your area. The area been shut down. It's a shutdown. Sleep, baby. 뒤집어봐 이건 가격표야 ain't cheap, baby. Stay in your own lane, cause I'm about to swerve. Catch me when you hear my Lamborghini go vroom, 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 vroom. When we pull up, you know it's a shutdown. 간판 내리고 문 잠궈 shutdown. Whip it, whip it, whip it, whip it. Whip it, whip it, whip it, whip it. It's black and it's pink once the sundown. When we pull up, you know it's a shutdown. 간판 내리고 문 잠궈 shutdown. Down.
I'm sure there's going to be a drop or something here or something like that. But look, there's so much going on to look at that's interesting. It's not sort of my field of expertise, but if you only understood the amount of work involved in what you're seeing here, I think a lot of people probably take it for granted as just like, oh, these chicks are cool and edgy and they have cool moves and they, you know, the what's the word I'm looking for? I mean, just the edginess of their character and their persona and stuff, and all these crazy shots of lighting a match and watching it burn and things like that. So much goes into that we don't see, right? There is wardrobe who are making these girls look like they're fashion forward and edgy, but still funky and, you know, street styled and all that sort of stuff, but in ways that are uncommon. Imagine trying to create 4 outfits for young female performers that look like, you know, that fit into 4 distinct categories, first of all, of style, but then appearing to look so unique that you've never seen that before on the street or in the world of fashion or in the world of music video. You know, these are people who are at the top of their game. You've got hairstylists, you've got makeup people coming up with interesting and creative looks. You've got the director of photography and the director coming up with shots. Like, for example, I mean, I could just literally stop anywhere in here, but these one-shot sort of moments and stuff like that, like, say, you know, with the sword and everything. Someone had to go, unless they did that in digital. I don't think that they did. I think they literally have a katana with Blackpink etched on it, right? Someone had to organize that. Look at her outfit. It's phenomenally cool, right? It's edgy. It's unique. It fits her perfectly, which is another thing. Everything's got to be tailor-made, right? And then it's just, and then they've got water. So they would have had to have organized a studio where they can have effects like that, like rain effects, you know. Someone, again, got that katana made and etched so that they could have it in 2 distinct shots, with one where she opens it and one where she's got it over her shoulder. Like, there's just so much work in this, you know? And I think this might be that area of division where you'll get people who are like, say, dyed-in-the-wool metal fans and stuff like that, who despise stuff like this because it seems contrived and it's not creative, it's not authentic and real. But I would argue that what you're seeing is the creativity of an entire team of people who are working at their absolute premium, right? This is the best you'll get. Like, I mean, the set is perfectly lit. So you've got like fill lights and you've got edge lights catching her frame so she doesn't fall into the background. You know, they obviously had to get this staging set from somewhere. Someone else is running the water. They've got the lighting guys and they've got some sort of muslin or something in the background to make it look like a night sky. There's so much work that goes into this. The choreographers, obviously the songwriters, the people working with them, because the way I understand it, these girls go into like training camps and stuff, and they learn to sing and dance and in to the level that's required for these sort of like acts, you know. There's so much going on. It's phenomenal, you know, props and, you know, then this shot has video work in the background that they would have had to shoot, possibly on a different day to edit to have ready for this shoot. It's just, someone built that contraption, you know, and then you got a guy who's wrangling cars to put in the studio for them to film. All of the props in the street here. I mean, maybe they're going to locations that are pre-set up for this sort of thing. Like I've seen venues where you can go and do crazy Instagram shoots and stuff with props and everything like that. Maybe something like that's going on here. Maybe this is a bespoke set. I wouldn't doubt that they could afford to have stages built and stuff like that for something like this. I mean, this video had something like 212 million views and it's from a month ago. I'm sure they can afford to do everything to spec from scratch. But, you know, like some people are cynical about stuff like that. Me personally, I look at it like, you know, those same people who are cynical about that don't only just watch indie films where, you know, it's all honesty and it's all put on there and it's all done to a low budget and things like that. They'll go and watch blockbusters as well. And they won't sit there and look at the 1,500 people involved in that production and think, oh, hang on a second. You know, the actor on screen isn't, you know, delivering their truth and their authentic performance, right? I don't know. I just don't get it. And again, this is why I like to bring people together and throw away the whole concept of some music is bad, some music is good. If you like it, then it's good music, right? I'm going to jump forward again. I don't want to go too far back. But just when you're looking at stuff like this, if you're not the kind of person who thinks about all of this ephemeral stuff, maybe just have another look through the music video and see what you can call out and the things that you notice from having this sort of stuff pointed out. Like, look at all of these Blackpink posters on the walls and signage and stuff that somebody had to produce to have on the day ready for this shoot, you know? And I mean, who was the person coming up with I want a Blackpink poster here and I want signs for restaurants over here and I want neon signs that someone had to make, you know? Like, are they in actual Market Street? Maybe they are. I don't know. But either way, right? There's so much going on. And the song's great. The hook is amazing. It makes you want to sing it. The flavor is different because it's like, you know, again, it's got that waltzy swing to it, which you don't often hear. But how good would this be in the middle of a concert as a point of difference from the rest of like the just pounding sort of dance rhythms and stuff like that? It's probably a lot of people's favorite song for that reason because it stands out. Shut it down. Love that little bass hit, man. That's cool. Do do do. Shut it down. Blackpink in your area. Shut it down. Very cool.
Shut it down. Blackpink in your area. Keep talking, we shut you down.
Very cool. Very cool. Look, I think pretty much I said all that needs to be said. It's a great song. I like how minimalist it is during the verses, so you can really let the girls' vocals shine, right? So they've got like, you know, oftentimes it's just maybe like a bass, drums, and a violin motif that's kind of doing some. It's walking around. It's not just playing a simple motif like it's been programmed. It's obviously clearly been played by a violin player. And they're putting in their own little artistic flourishes, like those little glisses and stuff, like I mentioned. And, you know, and then it just drops into this cool sort of swung, swaggery kind of cool chorus that is immediately singable. There's no high notes in there to the point where anybody in the car doesn't feel like they can sing along. You know, it's an anthem, right? In that regard, like I can imagine cars full of girls driving along, singing along to the chorus and not feeling self-conscious about singing because it's definitely singable, right? And then it's got that sort of swagger and attitude in its intent lyrically and stuff as well. It's like, you know, keep talking, we're going to shut you down, you know, like whatever. Fill me in the comments what the actual, because I was too taken by the visuals, I wasn't reading a lot of the subtitles. Let me know what the thesis behind the song is in the comments. And another thing I'd like to hear from you too is when I pointed out like how much is going on, what's something that you may have noticed in the clip that you wouldn't have expected or wouldn't normally think about? I'd love to see how other people are seeing this as well, because with stuff like this, there's so much going on. And if you're just listening to the music and you're watching the girls, a lot of that stuff probably fades into the background, and until somebody starts pointing things out, there might be stuff in there you never even noticed, you know, and I'd be keen to hear if anyone has any cool insight into that. I'd also love to know if there's probably behind the scenes stuff. Let me know in the comments also if there's like, you know, are they using real world locations? Is it sets? How is it all working? How does it all get pieced together? Yeah, I got a lot of information in the last video about the girls and, you know, where they're from and things like that, which is really interesting. Thanks again, guys. I'll get back to a lot of the comments soon. I just haven't had a lot of time. But man, if you love pop music, there's not really any further down the rabbit hole you can go. These guys are kind of it. They're like that sort of big supernova in the middle of the galaxy surrounded by other artists, you know. And I think that's interesting because it's purely designed that way. You can, if you know what you're doing and if you have the right resources, which is a big part of it. Let's not forget that a lot of times major artists come from backgrounds that afford them the ability to leapfrog over everyone else. That's just the facts of life. But it's super interesting, you know, when people go, I am who I am going to be in 5 to 10 years time. I'm that person now, so I'm going to behave like that person professionally, as far as like how I conceptualize things, not taking no for an answer, not settling for second best as far as the quality of your work and things like that. Putting everything you've got into being who you envision becoming. And, you know, that's in a way that's kind of what this is, because at some point someone sat down in a boardroom and said, I want to put together a 4-piece girl band and this is how we're going to approach it. And then they'll cherry pick the right talent and they'll put it together with the right songwriters and producers, the top of the line video production company, director, guy, whatever. We want the best hair and makeup that we can afford. We want the whole thing. And sure, that's a massive gamble. But if you put that all out there on Front Street and said, we're going to show you the greatest pop act you've ever seen, and you guys are going to show up with that kind of confidence, then it sort of self-manifests, right? Then again, at the same time, I guess we don't often see the failures, right? There's been plenty of pop acts that sort of brought out an album that didn't go anywhere. I don't know. maybe I don't know what I'm talking about. Who knows? But anyway, thanks again, guys. If you stuck around this long, I appreciate you. Hit me up in the comments. I love to hear about people who stuck around at the end. But yeah, thanks again. If you feel like I brighten your day at all, feel free to support the channel just by buying me a coffee. I'll leave a link in the description. Also, if you love this sort of thing, or if you want to be taken on a bit of a journey, because I do really diverse stuff. But if you're the kind of person who might be about that, hit like, hit the bell, and you'll see more of this stuff in the future. Appreciate you. Thanks again, guys, and stay primal. I'll catch you on the next one. Hey guys, this video is made possible by Enchroma. 1 in 6 guys and 1 in 200 women are colorblind, and if that happens to be you, there's something you can do about it. Click the link in the description, it'll take you to Enchroma's website where you can get a free eye test. And while you're there, maybe pick up some corrective lenses. They've got styles to suit everybody and a 60-day money-back guarantee, so you got really nothing to lose. Tell them Primal Chaos sent you.